get everything streaming, and then we will begin. We'll check everything. Here I stand. Why isn't that working? With dirty hands. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to Kingdom Lump Small Town Underground. This is our Saturday evening. We're doing a live stream extravaganza this weekend. So just having other difficulties. Rumble did not go out, so that we will be putting this out on Rumble later. I'll just have to go through and fix everything. So bear with me. We are streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to the show tonight. I have Mr. Blake Elsberry with me here tonight. He is the Commissioner of Chattooga County, Georgia. He's running for re-election, and I wanted to get him on the show. We got a lot of things that we want to talk about. We want to introduce you to our audience, and so we're looking forward to getting some comments, getting some people involved. So if you know some people in Chattooga that want to comment or come on in the conversation, we'd be glad to have you. So Blake, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and I'll finish setting this up, so you just take it away. Let everybody know who you are.
All right. Well, thank you, Roy, for having me. My name is Blake Elsberry. I've been the commissioner in Chattooga County for the last 3 years, going on my fourth year. I'm up for re-election. Grew up in the Gorsa-Bligna area in Chattooga County. My mom still lives there, the oldest of 5 kids, raised by a single mother. My mom actually still works in the cafeteria at the high school there. So
Nice.
Most of all of my siblings live either in the county or very close, right across the line in Walker County.
Okay.
So
Now, how long have you been the commissioner?
I have been the commissioner. This is my fourth year, going on my fourth year, first term.
Okay. Good deal. I've heard a lot of good things about you, man. I know we don't know each other like really, really well, but we've had several interactions. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about everything tonight. So what made you want to get into? What made you want to be the commissioner in Chattooga?
I've always wanted to run. I thought that I had some ideas that might help, our county. But in 2020, actually 2019, I started thinking more seriously about it and just started asking around, and trying to see if the ideas I had were either feasible or viable, because I'm not going to waste my time, waste everybody else's time too, So
Right.
Felt like that we could do some good, and so we ended up running in 2020. I did not plan on COVID,
Right.
and I was working full time at the cath lab at the time, and so on call for STEMIs, and then COVID hit too, and then we had primary and runoff, and then general too. So we went through 3 elections during COVID.
Yeah.
And but we came out good, and we've been running ever since.
Well, good. Yeah. I don't think anybody expected COVID.
No,
It was a pretty
no.
wild time. So tell us a little bit about Chattooga County, for example, like just for people that's never been there before.
So Chattooga County's south of Walker, north of Floyd. It's a smaller community, rural Northwest Georgia community. We have always been kind of sheltered from a lot of the things that's happened in some of the other counties.
Right. Right.
Not a whole lot of momentum there for a few years, well, for longer than a few years. But we've seen a change in that. We got the first freestanding rural ER in the state of Georgia that came.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they are knocking it out of the park. That is a project that I really was trying to get done. No county funds invested whatsoever.
Wow.
So first stuff for the state, and they're surpassing all their goals that they thought they were going to have. So
That's right. That's pretty good. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, and
very good.
and that's Chattooga County being an innovator and on the forefront of rural healthcare. You know, I mean, that's a big issue statewide. We know that the legislators had some summer committees talking about rural health care, and we're really hoping that they'll look at this as a blueprint for some of the other rural counties.
Sure.
So, you know, we got that. We've, you know, all the counties are doing broadband. A lot of funding went down for broadband. We're doing a $10 million broadband project. It's going to affect probably about 3,000 people, connect them to new high speed that didn't have high speed before.
That's good.
We're doing that with no county funds invested.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, you know, those are two of the bigger projects. Of course, we've done some other things, you know, and we've seen some good momentum financially with the county. A lot better shape than we were 3 years ago.
Right. You know, I love Chattooga County. There's a lot of really great people in Chattooga County, and of course, we have a business there as well. So I frequent Chattooga County quite a bit. I'm a big fan of the bin store down there, and the shopping center by I think it's the Cost Cutters or where the Little Caesars is. So a shout out to the bin store. We haven't been in quite a while, but Amanda Winters, they run a great store there. I'm kind of a bin store junkie, so. But that's good, man. That's good. So, tell us kind of what you've seen. You know, you're running for re-election, right? And so what are some of the challenges that you faced when you came into office versus where you're at right now?
Well, you know, I think, you know, of course, you know, you talk about access to health care and things like that we've seen, but just financially, the county was in rough shape. You know, we had a huge issue with our capital investments, our buildings. You know, there was probably more roofs that leaked than didn't leak. We had some shortfalls in equipment at Public Works and different things like that, which was causing some service issues with being able to address roads and ditches and things like that. We've been able to address all those. You know, when I came into office in 2020, a lot of people don't know, a TAN is a tax anticipation note. Tax
anticipation note,
yes.
okay.
And a lot of counties use those, cities too, to finish out the remainder of the year. Like if they're doing a big project or something, it's a loan that is based on your next year's taxes, so you pay it off, you know.
Okay.
Hence the word tax anticipation note. The difference with us is that Chattooga County was pulling one in January to make payroll.
Wow. Okay.
And that's unheard of.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so when I ran in 20, I didn't run on anything saying that, you know, I was going to fix all this stuff and I knew exactly how to fix it. I just thought that my ideas would be beneficial, that I felt like there were some things that we could do. And so, you know, just like with your own personal credit, if you get yourself into a bad debt, you can't just go cold turkey and start, you know, wiping the slate clean. You have to gradually jump off.
Sure.
So what we did the first year was we tried to hold off using the TAN for as long as possible. We did that. We only used, I want to say it was about 3.5 million the first year instead of the 4.5. The second year we cut that down some more. So now we have cut that down to about 2 million. We're using it later in the year than we had before. And my goal is to continue that trend, gradually drop it down.
So you're telling me that you're trying to save your county money?
We've saved the county money, and you know, I mean, you know, I've done a complete rollback every year in office.
Right.
That's been difficult to do.
I bet.
This past year we set the lowest millage rate in 13 years.
I heard about that.
Yeah. We are taking in about $250,000 less, and it's a balancing act. It is. I'm going to tell you, it's working with your other elected constitutional officers, being as a team, working together, being open to those conversations. It's also, you know, right now statewide, you know, county government's not immune to inflation.
Sure.
And in fact, it's even worse for county government. A lot of times it's easier for vendors to want to try to take advantage of government because they feel like the money is just there. And so most counties across the state right now in Georgia are seeing roughly a 6% inflationary increase in their budgets.
Right. Not just Chattooga, right?
Yeah.
I've read some comments where a lot of people think that it's just their area, and it's pretty much countrywide.
Yeah,
you know? I don't know how people can kind of not realize that.
The nationwide, I think it's like 7-8%.
Yeah.
Statewide, for most counties, they're seeing somewhere between a 5 and 6% inflationary increase in their budgets. We only saw a 2.9% increase.
Right.
And that's to be able to roll back the millage every year. I'm taking in $250,000 less in property taxes this year.
Right.
To do that, fund the budgets, and it is a constant month to month, week to week balancing act.
Okay, yeah, sounds like it. I mean, and I would imagine too, from what little I understand, I'm sure that there's all kinds of federal money out there if you just play ball and things, and it's real easy to get. A lot of people will probably would rather take that money, and you're kind of looking at it from a fiscal perspective. You're just trying to keep everything paid and keep everything good and spend as little as money and save the taxpayers. That's what it sounds like to
Yes,
me.
yes,
So,
and stretch our dollar as far as we
yeah.
can. I always say that when we negotiate contracts and things, a lot of times it's not the initial first payment that we negotiate as much as it is those reoccurring annual payments, because those are the ones that get you in trouble long term.
Okay.
Because you never know what your tax digest is going to do. You don't know what the housing market's going to do. Right
Right.
now we're in this huge increase,
Right.
but what if the bottom falls out?
Sure.
And then your tax digest drops. So that's the things that you got to kind of look at. You can't look at just now or in my term for the next 4 years to get me through. You got to look 10, 15, 20 years ahead.
How will it impact the community? Right.
Always long range. I mean, we see it all the time in legislature. There's good bills, bad bills, but you see it all the time in legislature when bills are passed and things are decided upon, but then downrange they make a bigger issue than the one they were trying to fix.
Right. Absolutely. So one thing I want to kind of cover, if you want to go on into this, so explain to me and our viewers here. There's a situation that has come out with a land ordinance in Chattooga County. So I can't think of anybody better to explain this than you. So kind of let's start to the beginning and just go through it, and you just tell me because I'll set up a little background from what I know. That apparently this situation has gotten wildly skewed out of proportion, and so why don't we just try to set the record straight here tonight, and you just start from the beginning. What is the deal with Chattooga County and this land ordinance?
So it is a ordinance for subdivisions, commercial properties, and multifamily. When I say multifamily, I mean apartments and
Okay.
townhomes. It does not impact individual homeowners. It does not impact farming. It does not impact arid property. The issues that we saw was, one, before I came into office, I had heard of some stories where in subdivisions previously put in the county that developers would come to the county would take over the road, they would pave the road and put in the water on the taxpayer dollar.
Okay.
The issue with that is that it's not an economic development project. We're not talking about 100 homes. We're talking about a road that may have 5 homes.
Okay.
It costs roughly around, just to cap a road, not to build it from the dirt up, just to cap with asphalt, it's roughly about $100,000 a mile.
Okay.
So taxpayers are never going to see a return on that money, and that's the thought process. We also all know that there's a great migration going on.
Yes,
People are
absolutely.
trying to escape these liberal cities with these policies. We see it. We're seeing more and more. I've met a lot more people, from New York State and California and Colorado and places that have moved to our county. And so, and they're all great people. Talk to a lot of
Right.
Of course, they want to come. They come to the office a lot of times because they're like, "What's this sole commissioner thing? We've never heard of this before." And so, but you see that great migration, and so with that, we've seen a lot more interest with developers. Now, as far as the subdivisions go, we haven't had one yet, but we've seen a lot more interest. We also know that surrounding counties are dealing with LLCs and hedge fund groups that are coming in and buying single-family homes and renting them out.
Oh yeah, you will own nothing and be happy. The signs
Rent
we
to
buy,
own.
the houses, yeah.
Rent to own. We know that a lot of the other larger counties surrounding us are starting to have subdivisions that are built. They will get zoning. They will build the subdivision, and then they will not disclose that it's all going to be rentals. And so with that, I had a community that came to me and said, "Look, we've got some farmlands that have sold. We're concerned about the development coming in. We want zoning." And I said, "Look, I'm not a proponent of zoning. It may work well for some of the larger counties, but for us, it causes more issues than what it would help." So
Okay.
I said, "Look, let's think about doing something else that maybe, how do you do something that doesn't impact the individual homeowner, but makes the developers come to the public, keeps us from being the dumping ground for every bad developer, and makes a level playing field for developers too, so that they know that they're not coming into a place where one person's project is going to get special interest and the other one's not."
Okay.
And so how do you do that? And so we set it up to where it was just subdivisions, commercial properties, multifamily. And then I said, okay, I want to have more citizen involvement. The citizens need to be involved with the direction of the development of their communities. So then we set up a committee of 5 citizens, asked for volunteers, and that was we got a few volunteers, but then we had to kind of ask around for the 1 or 2 more, to finish that out. And so now, it's citizen led. It's citizen led development. The developers come in. They have rules that they follow. They put in their application. They have their meeting. The citizens decide. The appeals process is with me, so I'm still slightly involved. If a developer gets turned down and he thinks it was falsely turned down, he can appeal.
Okay.
And that's basically what it is. And we've this thing in its original form. It's been in place almost 2 years.
Okay.
We've had the ER went through it, Waffle House went through it, Zaxby's went through it. I'm trying to think of what else they had.
Oh, you guys are getting the Zaxby's?
Yes,
okay, cool.
Yeah, we're uptown with Waffle House now.
Wow.
I want to tell you, that place is hopping. But great ownership too. They've got great ownership, that Waffle House does. So I wanted it to be as much hands off for the commissioner because, we all know that Chattooga County is mostly conservative county.
Yes.
But what would happen if somebody got behind that desk that maybe didn't have the same interest or the same thought process, And so you want the citizens to have a say in how their community is developed. And so that's why we put that in place. And, it's been in place in its original form. Is in place for almost 2 years. We had the committee had a couple of extra public meetings towards the end of last year because of all of the the false information,
right,
bad stuff being sent around. So we had a couple of extra public meetings, took that into account, and we went back and we have a new draft that was enacted just about a week or 2 ago.
Okay.
It's condensed down some, not as detailed as the other one was. Clarifies, legislation, any type of legislation, local or state. If it's not in the legislation, it doesn't regulate it. Mm-hmm. So like the first one, we did not put farming, agriculture, aired property, all that stuff because we're not regulating it. Mm-hmm. But there was some confusion with that.
Okay.
So this new one actually clarifies that it doesn't regulate that kind of stuff. And so I'm hoping that shows that we are listening to the public, that we're paying attention. We've made those adjustments. We hope this puts some people at ease. But it's been pretty crazy. I mean, we've had people that said, we were going to make them pave all their driveways, permit bird baths,
right?
Roof pitches on barns, just crazy, outlandish. And to me, that's crazy. But
some people, you say the sky's falling, they're going to be looking up. So, I get it.
Yeah. So the main thing is it's there to protect our homeowners, our property owners. And I'm just, we're not, it's not just right now. You got to start thinking about 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead because, Walker County is going to get saturated. Floyd County is going to get saturated.
Absolutely.
And for us, the property in our area is expensive. Mm-hmm. The property values have gone up, and that's across the board everywhere, across the state. Everybody's seeing the same thing. But for us, it's very expensive. But these people coming out of Arizona and Nevada, Colorado, it's cheap.
So I want to just kind of hit on that. So if people don't understand, we probably have, even though it's expensive, some of the lowest property values around the country. Mm-hmm. And where a house here that cost $150,000, mm-hmm. the same house in California is probably $800,000. Yep. And these people, I know firsthand people that are just selling their homes and buying homes in our state and our region sight unseen. Mm-hmm. With no house payment and moving away from that state and coming here with hundreds of thousands of
dollars.
Most
of it's sight unseen. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. And case in point, we had a developer that came out of Atlanta, and this is an ongoing investigation our sheriff is doing, that came into a community and had leased to own property and was platting it out, but not officially with the clerk of courts. And so people, they would not sell to anyone inside county. They would sell outside county. And people were buying it sight unseen. Well, the owner of the property, apparently the person leasing it, failed to make a payment. So the owner of the property pulled out. Well, all of those people are now out of their money.
Wow.
And now they're being investigated for fraudulent deeds and all this other stuff. And a lot of that came to light because when the subdivision ordinance was in place, they were not very forthcoming with what they were doing, and were not really wanting to put in the application right off the bat and all this other stuff, and that really threw up a lot of red flags.
Okay.
And so, while you can't stop fraud, things like that are the reason why we need something, because if not, we will be there's a lot of good developers out there, and there's a lot of good developers waiting in the wings to do stuff.
Sure.
But there's always somebody waiting to take advantage exploit a community that doesn't have anything in place.
You couldn't be more right. We've dealt with this little Walker County with these hospitals that they were wanting to put in, and all of these different rehab facilities, and it's like, in the end, they fall apart. It's just faulty deals that people are trying to rush through and get going. And it's like, can you imagine if that's in the middle of your rural community? And some of these things that they're trying to put in is like mind-blowing to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm all for rehabilitation and things like that, but you put like a rehab center or halfway houses out in the middle of the country where you potentially have drug addicts and criminals that are all over, That's not fair to the people that live out there.
Well, and you got to think, like I said, you go back to long term. I mean, how many of these county roads used to be large farmland tracts that were subdivided out into houses, and now we have drainage issues, we have septic issues, and all these other things that if they were done correctly the first time, and of course, you're talking about back in the 70s, 60s, they didn't have all that. But if you'd done correctly the first time, then now taxpayers wouldn't be having to fix it. I mean, I had one subdivision. I had two neighbors that were arguing like the Hatfields and McCoys, and it was constant. It was every week, and it was over drainage, and it was nothing we could do because it was all not on the right of way or anything like that. But if it had been done correctly the first time, they wouldn't have had issues. And in fact, one of the neighbors actually ended up selling their home over it. So,
gosh, we recently had a friend of mine who lives out in our Chattooga Valley had the guy was very well off, had 100 acres of property, trying to kind of squeeze in. Our zoning, if you live out in the county, you have to have at least 5 acres to build a house. And this guy was literally, he had a few $1 million wanting to basically get in and put a subdivision in out in the middle of the country, out in the rural area, on single acre plots. And the community, man, they got together and they said, no, this is not the way it works. And they went to the commissioners' meetings and they talked and they stood up and they ended up not allowing them to do it. But
exactly, and that's what this whole thing is set in place for. And the thing is I'm not bashing developers, and I'm not against anything good coming in, but we need to make sure it's done correctly. We need to make sure it is what the public wants.
Sure.
And so that's the whole point.
Yeah, people live out in the country for a reason, man.
That's right. That's right.
You want to get away from all this stuff.
That's right.
I don't think anybody here is bashing, anybody's bashing developers. So everybody wants to make money. I get it. But, you've got to, long term, you've got to think about what you're doing and where you're doing it and how you're going to impact the community and society. And I like what you're talking about is community led too. It's led by the people.
That's the thing. And it's hard. It's hard to get community involvement lots of times,
Right.
But it was a way to do that, and I'm hoping that it's. I get more people who are positive about it than negative.
Sure.
I'm hoping people see that, especially now. As far as time has passed, logic dictates it does everything it's supposed to, and nothing though what it.
Well, I think. We're not going to focus on some of this negativity, but obviously there's things at play in your county that are trying to spin some of the negative aspects about this, right?
Yeah. No interest is more important than special interest.
Absolutely correct. So can you just cover for the audience, because we've got a lot of viewers right now, and I'm sure that a lot of the people at Chattooga County, we're going to be doing the comments here in a little bit and then moving on.
Yeah.
But kind of dispel a little bit of this disinformation. Like tell the people what the disinformation. You've told us what this really is, so we can kind of red flag this. What are people thinking? Like the pavement issue.
I mean, of course that's all false. you cannot, I think one of the other things people have mentioned about, some of these subdivisions, we're going to come in and start telling people how to do things. You cannot retroactively put an ordinance onto something like that. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So something that's already established, you can't retroactively put it on.
So in other
this
words,
is
none
all
of
for
your-
new build.
Right. None of the current people that live there will be affected by this ordinance at all.
No.
Okay.
And no.
So that's some disinformation that we've just dispelled. Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of the disinformation, and I hate it, was geared towards telling a lot of the older generation. They were told things by people that they trust. The farmers were told a lot of things that was wrong. This was never geared towards. In fact, I would say for the most part, this protects farmers more than it does anybody.
Right.
Because right now we see a huge amount statewide, and we see it. I mean, the state right now is in this whole economic development at all costs situation, and I have my own thoughts about that. But we've lost a lot of farmland with these economic development projects, and a lot of generational farms are being lost because the next generation doesn't want to farm, and so it's a concern for us. It's a concern for me. We've been very supportive of our farmers. We did local farm grants, the past 2 years, trying to do some of that and give back to some of the farms. So, that was the one thing that concerned me the most was a lot of the farmers got really upset about this, and there was no need for it because if anything, it protects them more than anybody.
Right. You bring up this economic development in Georgia, and it's becoming hot topics and everything. And I know you probably go around the state. I've been traveling around a lot lately and highly involved in like the activism, and I've been going and meeting people. And you look all over the state, and it's just like a huge construction zone everywhere you go. Now, in the grand scheme of things, we're capitalists. We live in a free enterprise society. I get it. But there's got to be something, you at least have to acknowledge this economic development push that's coming out all directions, where it's just like they just want to develop the land, no matter what they have on it, just throw up another strip mall, throw up another 100 houses. And then most of the time, like you said, I don't think it actually benefits, especially what we know about kind of the global shift to this wanting to own nothing type stuff. I can see the rental properties going up like crazy all over here.
Yeah, well,
little triplexes that are just built on a quarter acre of land. It's a little disturbing.
Well, and you think about this. So, for instance, most of your rental properties, if they're owned by LLC or a hedge fund group or something like that, then every year they go and they appeal their taxes. When they appeal their taxes, they get a 3-year lock. So when they get a 3-year lock, there's counties right now that had one property owner with 90-something to 100 properties in their LLC's hedge funds where they've locked that in for 3 years. Well, that property tax is offset, then that burden goes back on to the other taxpayers because they're on a 3-year lock. So you're seeing a lot of stuff like that. You're going to see some state legislation coming down that's going to hopefully deal with some of that.
Okay.
There's some good legislation being thrown around that I think is going to be beneficial to local government and counties and cities. But that's kind of waiting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm in Walker, and I think it's been a little intriguing to me because I've seen some. Well, I mean, who says politics is boring, right? I've just seen, and there's some groups out there that it's getting time. I'm sure that you have opponents that are gearing up to run in your county, and then it becomes just seeing a lot of attacks out there, and it just doesn't bode well for me. I feel like that people should just run on their platform and their principles, but it seems like you're getting attacked over much ado about nothing.
Run on your platform, your policy, and be done with it. Tell people what you're going to do and let them decide. We in 2020 we ran a very clean campaign. I to the dismay of some of the people who volunteer for my campaigns,
Right.
I do not have a self-preservation bone. I'm going to tell you the truth about something, the good and the bad. If you can do something, I'm going to tell you. If we can't do something, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you why. And so in 2020, when we ran the campaign, it got, pretty ugly. But we didn't get involved with that. I'm not going to get involved now. And, because I've told everybody this story. If we had not been successful in 2020, my biggest concern would not have been that we lost. While I felt like that our ideas were viable and it could have done the county some good, my biggest concern would have been that nobody responded to what we were trying to do with our campaign and just run a campaign on the positive policies that we thought we could do.
Sure.
And that would be more concerning to me because that shows a societal issue. You know what I'm saying?
I can't agree with you more.
You know, and
Yeah.
so
I
I
can't.
was glad that it turned out the way it did. I'm hoping this year is the same thing because we've seen such a positive movement. I mean,
Yes.
such a positive movement. I mean, you know, I didn't mention this, but you know, we have a jail issue. Everybody knows it. We've had it for years.
Yes.
We pay out a huge amount of money to other places housing inmates. I have a huge issue with that because while we are paying for a jail, just not our own.
Right.
We're paying for our jail, but then we're paying for everybody else's too.
Right.
And so, but the issue is that we don't have the finances yet to be able to. It's that initial hit on the front end of building a new jail.
Sure. And you know, you could probably do it if you did jump through some federal government hoops and all these things. But you know, I hate to interrupt you, but it seems like you're doing it the right way. Like you're doing it on your own, your own. Just continue.
Well,
on.
yeah, and that's the thing. You know, so when I came into office, the GBI crime labs shut down all their crime labs except for their centralized one in South Georgia years ago, and we had a crime lab there near Hay State Prison. And so when I came into office, I talked to our sheriff and I said, look, you know, I'd like to work on this. You know, I know that this has been an issue. You know, I didn't have a real strong relationship with. I'm fresh in. You know, we don't know each other. I said, just trust me. You know, let me work on it. And so I actually still had some connections with DOC. I used to work for DOC before I was in medical.
Okay.
And so kind of talked to them, said if they had any issues with it. They said no. So I worked my way through state properties, and we acquired the 9,500 square foot crime lab for a new sheriff's office and 7 acres from the state for $10.
Wow. Okay.
Well, now we have property.
Gotcha.
So now we just took roughly $2 million off a jail project by just having the property.
I gotcha.
And it's the same thing I said in 20. I said we don't have the money to build a jail yet, but it doesn't mean we can't work on it.
There you go.
And it's the same thing right now. Like, you know, doing the financial studies to find out what's fiscally able for the county to do to solve this problem.
Instead of adding debt, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is too is not just with the added debt, but I want our taxpayer dollars to stay in the county.
Sure.
You know, and so, you know, what's available to us, and so that's kind of what we're going to be looking forward towards the future is financially, what can we do to fix this problem permanently and keep our tax dollars in the county?
Right. I can tell you firsthand. I mean, we all, you know, being in the bail bonding, we know there's been issues with the jail for a long time like that, and it's great to hear these kinds of things, and especially after the flood. You know, something's got to be done.
I'm gonna tell you, God blessed us so much with that because literally, we, you know, all the counties got ARPA funds. You know,
yes,
what I call the Joe Biden funds.
Yeah.
And so we got, you know, it's based on the size of your county. We did not get a whole lot, and so I was been very conservative with that. And so when we got that building, the sheriff and their staff did a lot of the remodel. I mean,
Yes.
it's fantastic. But then on top of that, we used some of that for the HVAC and repairing the HVAC.
Okay.
Literally, the Friday that the Saturday the flood hit, that Friday before, they had just finished the HVAC. And so like his old office got flooded out.
Yeah.
All of that got flooded out. So they were able just to get whatever they could get and move straight in, even though it wasn't completely ready. It was straight in. So God was really watching out for us on that one.
Yeah, I like the new office over there. I've been over there a couple of times.
It's nice.
It is nice.
It's nice. It's nice.
All right. Well, look, we're going to go through some comments because we've got quite a few, and then we're just going to hit these running. So thank you all for everybody participating tonight. Make sure you share this, especially with your Chattooga County people. Kevin Payton, and this was the first comment tonight. What do you feel is the biggest accomplishment while in your role?
I think we've done some really good things. You know, you can talk about the fiscal, financial aspect of it. I'm going to say the ER, and the reason I say the ER is because it saved lives.
There you go.
Already, and we have nothing invested. I mean that's just unheard of. You know, to have a group to come in that invests in a community with no county funds invested, no bonds, there's no development authority, nothing. And I mean, and it's not just the ER. We're talking about a facility that's not just an ER. It has a CT. It has a full lab. It has a helipad, full X-ray. So like, and what a lot of people don't know is 6 months to the day after it's been open, 6 months and a day after it's open, all of those can be made available to outpatient as well.
Wow.
So it's going to be a huge benefit.
Yes.
They're already breaking their daily visit records by a lot. They pull a lot of people from Lower Walker County, which we told them they would.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably, and I say that only because it has saved lives.
Well, sure, absolutely. It's a huge accomplishment the way that you've been able to do it too, and not off the burden of the taxpayer.
Well, the thing is,
that needs to be a precedent, an example set to every commissioner.
Well, the thing is finding those partners. Atrium Floyd has been a great partner.
Sure.
Finding those partners that understand what you're trying to do and are willing to invest back in the community. Because we don't have a lot of money. And when I pitched that idea, I pitched it to a lot of hospital groups. And the CEO of Atrium Floyd will tell you the same thing. I told him, I said, I'm going to find somebody that's going to do it.
Right.
And it could easily be Advent, CHI Memorial, Emory, anybody's name on that building.
Mm-hmm.
But to find those people willing to invest in the community, and I told him, I said, look, we have nothing to help you with, no finances to help you with, but
Right.
we're going to get it done. I'm going to find somebody to get it done. And so we did, and I just think it's going to be a great benefit for years and years and years.
That's good.
I really do.
I mean, hey, it's popping. Like you said, we were supposed to get the Waffle House. You guys got the Waffle House. And instead, we've got like 6 pizza places now. I don't know what's going on, but we're the pizza capital now of Georgia.
Ain't nothing wrong with pizza.
Nothing wrong with pizza, y'all.
No,
Hey,
no.
bring it in.
No.
I love it. Christy Slayton says, Blake Elsberry, man of integrity. We appreciate all that you do. It sounds like you have an admirer.
Well,
so.
thank you.
Jennifer Tudor. I'll ask about accountability too in a minute.
Yeah.
Jennifer says, no county funds. Every county needs a commissioner like ours. Hey, there you go. Thank you for watching Jan Wilson Chapman. Jennifer Tudor, shout out to her mother, Betty Brady. Jennifer Tudor, it's not a land ordinance, it's a subdivision ordinance. Thank you for that. Christy Slayton, taxpayers are paying for developer projects that they were profiting from. Yeah, it seems there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on.
Well, and you just got to look, on a commissioner's level, you just got to look at what is the return for the taxpayers. And people will say, well, you're getting the property taxes from it, but you'll never see a return on that initial investment of what it costs to pave that road and put in the water.
Sure.
I
mean, look, the bottom line is, people, the bottom line is the jig is up, right? I'm not sitting here saying that everybody's corrupt and all this, but the people are paying attention now, all right? And the good old boy system where you're doing the backroom deals and you scratch and and only a very select few, make the bank is over with. We're fighting for freedom. We're fighting for our communities. We're fighting in all these ways, and we're trying to do it, without the taxpayer burden, without putting all this debt in the system and trying to vie for our best friends to make all the money. That it's over, and I think people like you are leading an example for how things should be run. Fiscally, without debt. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm not naive. I'm not naive to the fact that we've been very blessed to be able to do what we've done and roll back the millage every 3 years. My goal would be to always do that.
Yes.
But just like last year, not only did we lose $250,000 and we had that inflationary increase in the budget, luckily our revenues went up some too, but we took a $100,000 hit on our property and liability insurance. Every county in the state saw a huge increase.
Yeah,
and so,
course.
I'm not naive to the fact that that's not always going to be the case, but
Right.
you can always guarantee. I'm not going to say, well, hey, look, we're going to go up just for the sake of going up. If we ever had an issue where that was the case, I'm going to tell you, well, look, our property and liability went up another $150,000.
Sure.
Or, our employees haven't had a substantial raise for 5 years. Because our employees aren't immune to inflation either.
Exactly.
And so, it's,
you can't save the world, but you're darn sure going to look at people and speak the truth, right?
That's it.
I'm with you, man.
So
That's good. Jennifer, we have enough bad developers of our own. They're the ones complaining and lying about the ordinance. All right, we got you there. Christy says, love Waffle House. I know I need to go down there and try it out. I think we're still supposed to get a Waffle House over here too. So
you are.
you
They
know.
talked about it at the grand opening of ours.
So hey, I'm down with that. Christy, can't wait for Zaxby's. I'm a little jealous. I like Zaxby's too, but you know, who knows? We got plenty of pizza.
Yeah.
For the local Jacks also had great ownership. Yeah, it's still a good. I mean, we don't even have a Jacks. We got one on either side of us. So, Christy, Slayton, I hope you guys in that back hear that. Farming and air property doesn't apply. So, I think we're loud and clear on that, and make sure you share it with people that might be confused. You know, you're right here, and I'm sure your door's always open.
Always
right?
open. Always open.
Jan Wilson Chapman, did they bother to show up to hear this? I don't know. Let's see, are the people that are causing trouble, have they reached out to you? Are they communicating with you?
So
people that are confused? I mean,
now I have a lot of one-on-one conversations with people.
Okay.
I try to be engaged. If somebody says, "Hey, look, I think this person, may have some questions," we always try to be engaged. The main ones that have been very confrontational and publicly confrontational on social media about it, we have not had one-on-one conversations about it.
Oh, I see.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't mind having a conversation with anybody. It seems more of a platform than anything.
I see. So maybe there's like we said earlier, maybe there's a special interest there or something, or maybe they must have an angle, but they won't reach out and talk to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Huh. I'm going to tell you. I mean, I see people directly on how they interact with me on trying to get things done for the county, and that is a huge benefit to me because I don't have any preset notions about anyone. I don't say, well, you wronged my second cousin twice removed 20 years ago, and I'm not going to work with you. I see people as they are, how they interact with me on getting things done for our people. And so if they're going to be confrontational, then I know what direction that is.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, Jonathan Stout, good to see you, my brother. It is what we want. Thank you, sir. Christy Slayton, re-elect Blake Elsberry for Chattooga County. Jonathan Stout, look what has happened to other counties when multifamily developments have popped up. The demographics change for the worst. Thank you for getting this in place. Awesome. Well said there, sir. Kevin Payton, what do you feel? Okay, that's one we answered before. All right. Christy, Blake Elesberry. Oh, so somehow they're... Hang on one second. Let me calm down a little bit because somehow they went...
Recycle.
Yeah, Jonathan. Okay, Southern Girl, Georgia Peach. How many surrounding counties has Chattooga County helped build their jails by paying to house inmates?
So I can tell you that at least Floyd County has built an entire wing onto their jail with just the funds. In fact, when we got the GBI Crime Lab, I actually got a call that day from one of the commissioners in Floyd County who said, "Hey, are y'all building a jail?" And I said, "No, not anytime soon. We're just, trying to work towards a final solution on that." And he said, "Well, just let us know when you do." He said, "Because we're going to have a special budget meeting because y'all fund a large portion of our budget for our jails." And that showed me right there that there was a huge issue.
Yeah.
So, but whenever we decide that that's something we can move forward on, we want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row and that the finances are in a row, that we can come to the public and say, "Hey, look, we've done our homework. Right. We know what we can do. We've got to, we know this is a huge issue, been a huge issue for a long time. Our, grand juries have always said something about the jail. So, we'll just make sure we'll have it right, the first time."
Absolutely. A Southern Girl, Georgia Peach, when will Chattooga decide to keep the money in Chattooga and build its own jail? I think we got that covered. Yep. Good deal. Kevin Payton, how many grants have been awarded to Chattooga County and approximately what dollar for Chattooga County?
So, and I'm probably going to miss some of the smaller ones. We did $100 million grant for CDBG for improving and replacing some aging out water lines. Also, EPD has now implemented, and it's going to be through EPA. All counties, cities, any municipal water is going to have to do a lead, steel, pipe service line inventory.
Okay.
You have to not only do that, but then within so many years, you have to replace all those lines.
Right.
Our CDBG is actually going to replace some of the steel lines that we still have left. So we're actually getting two birds with one stone.
Okay.
So we got that. We've had a couple of grants, smaller grants, 22,000, stuff like that, for some theater work that we did for the downtown theater. We had of course the $10 million broadband project. That is a $7 million investment by Kinetic, by Windstream, and then a $3 million broadband grant. I actually did that grant. I do all the reporting on that one. Okay. It's not fun. but I wasn't going to put it on our staff. And
I gotcha.
Luckily, Windstream has a great grant program too, and they help with that.
Yeah, they're actually expanding broadband here as well.
Yes,
so that's
yes,
good.
Yes.
And that's very important to do the lead in the pipe inventory. So we're seeing some alarming lead substances in water in schools in our area, and a lot of old pipes. So it's really good that we start cleaning that stuff out. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's some of them that we've got.
Okay. It's Christy says, Roy, would you host a debate between Blake and Andy? I'm assuming you're talking about Andy Allen, so he's gonna be running against you. So
that's the opponent that I have so far Allen. for coming up in May. So yeah.
To answer your question, I've never done a debate before. I have no idea what I'd be doing, and I would probably I would make myself a fool, but I mean, who knows? Anything can happen. I appreciate you asking, but hey, set it up. We'll go for it. Kevin Payton, since we now have an ER, can you give us a look at your future big accomplishment if reelected? So, I guess what do you see in the future?
So yeah, we want to continue to try to decrease our reliance on tan, and so that'll be an ongoing thing. Of course, the jail issue, we want to continue to work towards that.
Right.
I think that because of the numbers that they're seeing in the ER, I think you're going to see an increase in the services that are provided healthcare wise in the county. I'm a big proponent of trying to get a larger footprint for some post-high school education.
Okay.
So that's something that we've been working on for a long time. I'd like to see that happen for us eventually. So a lot of those things, we have a lot of outdoor recreation in our county.
Yes.
And we're not ever going to be a metro county. We're not ever going to be Bartow, Cartersville. We're not going to be Rome. But I think we have a lot to offer.
Sure.
And I think we could really benefit from some of utilizing some of that stuff. So
okay. Sounds good, man. Kevin Payton, yes, let's see that debate, please. Okay, we'll see what we can do. Jonathan Stout, Blake had no problem getting back to me to clarify my questions. Absolutely. Southern Girl, Georgia Peach, all I see from them is they continually attack their fellow citizens and anyone who disagrees with them. The local Democratic-owned media and pro-Rhino establishment media loves their group. So I'm assuming they're talking about, and I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I've done a little bit of homework, and I've just seen some of this online Facebook concerned citizen stuff, and it's kind of almost like a bash Blake group, if you will, and it's kind of sad, to be honest with you.
Well,
I cannot vote for you, and I do not know who your opponent is or these other people, but what I do know is that usually when I see people going on the attack like that, there's usually it's a special interest type thing, and every interaction I've had with you has been fine. But yeah, I think that's what she's referred to. So.
I've really tried to keep my grace about all of that.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't want to be confrontational with anyone. I will talk to anyone, but I'm not going to be confrontational.
Sure.
And I hate that. I hate that people feel like they have to be that way. Because I'm the easiest person to talk to.
Sure.
I hope that more people will see, will see that and kind of relate to that.
Well, I'm a firm believer in you work for Chattooga County.
That's right.
And Chattooga County does work for you.
That's
so
right.
If I got a problem, and I'll tell you from my commissioner, Shannon Whitfield, if I've ever had a problem or a question for my sheriff or anybody, and I'm nobody, man. But every time I've ever walked in their door, I go straight to them, And if people aren't doing that, if people aren't coming to you with concerns and trying to work, it's the same thing we have with our GOPs. Instead of people wanting to work with people and get involved, they want to run around behind the scenes and create havoc. And people see right through that. We don't want to pay attention.
Yeah,
to
and
that
I think
stuff,
too,
we give them too much credit.
Well, I think too, with sole commissioners, it's a little different because a lot of people think they have a lot more authority than what they do. And the sole commissioner has the same authority as a board has. The only difference is you don't have 5 that have to agree. You also don't have 5 that's going behind the back door and saying, "Hey, look, if you pave these roads in my district, I'll vote for your legislation or whatever statute you want to put up." So, the other constitutional officers are independent. Of course, their funding all comes through the commissioner's office, but we work in tandem. We work as a team. I don't have authority. I use this analogy a lot, and only because they're one of the larger budgets in most counties. But, if a sheriff wants to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on vehicles, he or she can do that.
Exactly.
Now I will have to go and they will have to go in front of the public and tell them why that they're increasing the millage to cover those vehicles.
Sure.
And they'll have to take that heat. But you have no authority to stop their constitutional officers. So it implores the commissioners to work as a team with your other elected officials. You may not always agree on policy and different things, but luckily for me, we have a great group of elected officials who I work great with. I'm very honest with them. I tell them where we're at financially. We do real well together, and so
there you go.
That helps.
Sure, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pro commission board, but I'm not anti sole commissioner. I mean, it's different for everybody,
Yeah, well,
and when it needs to evolve, it may evolve.
Well, you talk about evolving. I mean, I think it's been said before. Commissioner's supposed to be roads and revenues, and I brought this with me. I'll just show you.
Sure.
This is the current handbook for county commissioners. And so it's not just roads and revenues anymore.
Oh, that's kind of heavy, man.
And so, I mean, it's being an advocate, and for us even, too, we don't have the tax base or the financial means to have a lot of other departments like other counties do.
Sure.
And so, we don't have an economic development department. We rely on our regional development partners, our regional commission. But a lot of that stuff is handled through my office legislatively. There's counties that hire lobbyists.
Right.
To help them push their legislation.
Oh yeah, we got one right next door to us.
Yeah. We it's all handled by me, and so having that direct connection, I think, is very beneficial to us. We have you talk about housing and different things. I know we had a housing meeting, and one of the comments was made that the state was looking at standardizing all housing rules, and basically they were going to set a minimal acreage size. And one of the other people from one of the other counties, Metro County, they said, well, look, if you tell our citizens that they're going to have to drop, they had like a 5 acre minimum. If you're going to have to, they're going to have to lower theirs from 5 acres to, I don't know what they're looking at, like 2 or 3. They're going to pitch a fit, and they're going to go to the Capitol and want to tar and feather the legislators because they like the 5 acre minimum.
Yes.
Okay, and then I raised my hand. I said, well, look, Northwest Georgia and Chattooga County, if you tell us we have to have a minimum, we're going to go to the Capitol and tar and feather the legislators because we don't want you telling us what, And so, it's home rule.
Yes.
Home rule. And if you're not there to advocate for your communities,
that's right.
Especially when legislation's passed and when these decisions are made, not all counties is the same. You could be left out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, here we go now. Let's see here. Let's make sure I don't miss any. Christy Slayton, education in Chattooga County will certainly change our footprint. Absolutely, absolutely. Tammy Flowers, good to have you. Do you know how much you have reduced the county debt compared to the previous commissioner at?
So, the reliance on TAN we've reduced by about $2 million. As far as overall debt, there's a few things that we've done. We've changed a few policies that are going to help us on some debt issues with departments. We we recently were able to renegotiate a contract for our trash and our tipping fees at the landfill. That's saving us roughly about $6 a ton.
Okay.
But that was just done in August of last year. So I really won't know until all the way through this next year how much fiscally it's helping us.
Okay.
So it's little things like that.
Hey, they all add up.
That's it.
That's right.
And that's what I said in 20. People were like, where's the money and what's going on and blah, blah. And I said, I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's little bitty things that are adding up to huge debt.
Right.
And so that's what it was. I mean, my first month in office, I literally ceased and desisted everything. And I said, I want detailed invoices of everything. And that was just a huge help.
Right.
So
you just go through everything and just see, hey, do we need this? Do we not?
That's right.
There you go. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right. Christy Slayton, concerned citizens are not concerned unless it serves their own personal, interesting things. There's a lot of truth to that, a whole lot of truth to that. Jonathan Stout, it is disgusting one-way street from the opponent and his crew. Yes, sir. Mandy Hale, thank you, Blake, for all you have done for our county. Blake's door is always open. Anytime I've had a problem or a question, I have reached out to him, and he's always helped. And Kevin Payton says, can you elaborate on your open and transparent position? I'm not sure if I understand that, but...
Yeah, so, ran on transparency in 2020.
Okay.
As not ever serving in a role like this,
right.
I didn't realize how hard it was to get citizen involvement a lot of times. Unless
I
it's
can
a
tell you
hot
how hard
topic,
it is. Yeah.
And so what we first did was we tried to do some coffee with commissioner meetings. And in fact, all the other elected officials were very nice, and they came to the first one. We had a pretty good attendance. Tried to do them like on Saturdays and different things like that. Well, the attendance just kind of waned to the point where nobody showed. And so,
like a commissioner meeting.
Well, yeah. And so
nobody shows up until they're ready to fight,
unless they got something going on. And so, we just kind of fell to the wayside a little bit. And then we reapproached it last year, and I said, well, look, I've asked for the elected officials to come. If we do it after hours and things like that, I have to have staff. All my staff comes. All the directors come. And so, that's our staff have lives too.
Sure.
And so I said, look, let's start initiating these meetings again. But what we'll do is we'll have a public meeting every month, and basically each department head will go through what they've been doing, what's going on.
Right. We'll
post them, and that way people can read them and look at them at their own leisure. And then if they have a question about something, they can call me and say, hey, I saw this on the meeting. What is this about? And stuff like that. And so
you're pretty active with the Chattooga GOP as well, right? So
GOP, GRA.
Yeah, I'm a GRA member. I mean, I love them.
I'm a member.
Hey, you can always go to the GOP meeting in your area. You get two birds with one stone. You can talk to the commissioner. You can get involved with local politics.
That's it.
It's a no-brainer. So,
I will mention this too. Just something that we've kind of off the beaten path from finances and county government. Right to life.
Oh, absolutely.
We did a right to life resolution. I think we were one of the only counties in the state that did it. And in fact, I talked to the director of Georgia Life Alliance just last week, and she told me that they are still sending that resolution around across the state.
That's good.
They've got the March coming up.
That's wonderful.
I think it's in February.
Yeah,
February 22nd, maybe.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And she mentioned she wants to give me a pro-life flag.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
So that's nice. That is a huge issue for me. I feel a strong conviction about that issue.
Yes, sir.
And my wife, she is chairman of our local Moms for Liberty group.
Awesome. Okay.
So
good deal.
She's convicted for our kids and stuff.
Absolutely.
Too, so.
I'm actually going to have somebody on pretty soon from Georgia Right to Life. I've been an activist with them, and it's a great group of people.
Yes.
Abigail Darnell, and so many of the people, and they're just great, and we cannot ever stop the fight on that.
Those pro-life groups like Georgia Right to Life and Georgia Life Alliance, I mean, the work that they do is just, they're fighting for the moral soul
absolutely
of our communities.
I couldn't agree more. So here's my question for you. How do you feel about the Second Amendment?
All for it.
Shall not be infringed.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
You heard of the SAPA legislation?
I have not.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the SAPA legislation out in the air, but it's very important, and there's nothing you can do about it. But perhaps you might have a talk with your sheriff and people and your legislators about getting on the bill right now. We started with 2 sponsors, and now I believe we're up to 6 as of yesterday. So
Okay.
it's a Second Amendment Preservation Act. So it's definitely something we need to get on board, and I think
Yeah.
it'll be good for our state and our people.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but you're all Second Amendment in.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm gonna fist bump on that.
Always,
It's one of my
always.
biggies. So
Yeah. I want to tell you, grow up hunting. I
Sure.
grew up squirrel hunting. A lot of people don't even do that anymore.
They don't.
We had that whole conversation in the office the other day. Some of the staff was like, "Ew, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, my great aunt used to cook squirrels and fry potatoes. I mean, it was fantastic." But anyway, you get older and you start having kids. You don't hunt quite as much. But I was able to go to a charity shotgun shoot about a year ago and really enjoyed that. And I think a lot of people pick up stuff like golf and things like that. But I think that's going to be my golf.
I got you.
Is shotgun shoot, skeet
Yes,
shoot.
man.
I
We'll have to
enjoyed
get you to
that.
one of the turkey shoots over here.
Oh,
Chuck
yeah.
Clements, they put on with the veterans.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I'd
so.
love to do that. Love to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Before we adjourn this show tonight, and it's been a great show. I
Yeah,
appreciate you coming out. I want you just to tell the people out there. You're running for re-election. Is coming up here, so just give them your message. Tell them what you want them to know.
Yeah, so I'm running for re-election. I hope that everyone is tuned in and has heard about all the things that's going on. And if you want more details on a lot of that, just contact me. We have our website, Blake Elsberry for Chattooga.com.
Yes.
There's a lot of information on there. We have our Facebook page up. You can message me. You can call me. I've put my cell phone number out there, so you can call me on my cell. Just anything you have a question about that we didn't cover here in detail, just let me know. I would appreciate your support and your vote coming up in May. I'd like to see us continue what we're doing and continue moving forward.
It sounds good, man. Hey, listen, anytime you need me or you want to get any kind of the word out, you just let me know. You're a friend of the show, and we just appreciate everything you're doing
Thank
out
you,
there.
Roy. I
So,
appreciate it.
hey, folks, it's up to you, man. You want to get this word out? You're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth here, Mr. Elsberry, right? He's laid it out. Here it is. If you disagree with it, if you don't like it, hey, give him a call. Talk to him, He's running for, he's re-election for Chattooga County Commissioner. So we appreciate your time. And y'all, tomorrow's the big one. We got Colton Moore coming at 6 p.m. So spread the word. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Have a good evening.